Hi, Stuart.
Yes.
Uh, we are talking a lot in the talks about the ego and the necessity of, I don't know if eliminating it, but removing it in order to get a closer spiritual life. I grew up in the Middle East, and ego seemed to me, I grew up with it as a survival uh, condition. And it's really hard for me to grasp the concept of completely giving it up. Is it all
Well,
negative or?
no, Rocky, you won't have, there's always going to be an ego. But then there's conscious use of that energy to build yourself inside, to nurture other people, to give life both within yourself and to other human beings. Or do you use it as a way of just pushing everybody aside and,
Mm.
just getting money and power and success? And I don't think there's anything wrong with money and, I mean, at least relative power and success, but we have to understand, on what level those things are and how they, all of those things are nothing more than a reminder that we have to go deeper inside ourselves because all of those things are just simply transient. They come, we're born, we have these things in life, and we go one day. But the soul of a human being, which is connected to infinite energy, transcends the material, it transcends everything else. And a conscious use of ego, conscious use of your will, is to internalize the will, to internalize that ego part of yourself and use it to overcome the blocks and the tensions inside the same way you would use it and to overcome the blocks and things that keep you from succeeding in life. So instead of just dumping it out on the world as survival,
Mm.
learn how to internalize it and build a system inside yourself that's connected to energy that's infinite in the universe, energy that's very powerful, and energy that will also help to guide your life. So it's really not the elimination of ego. I mean, that will never happen, but how to use it consciously, how not to allow it, to step all over other people and, what people do with their ego, especially in the business world and the political world and how, they treat people like they're ants. They are more superior than other people. And being more superior in their own brains, they never listen to other people. They never learn anything from life. Everything they do is a manifestation of this ego, this part of themselves which they think is superior to everybody else. And all I say is internalize it. Use the will to overcome the obstacles inside yourself. And that will give you a connection with an energy that is so powerful, it will guide your life. It will bring your life to a place where, we can truly tap the greatest treasures that are available to people. And what I mean by that is love and compassion and just
Yeah.
simply tapping our humanity on its highest level. Will ego ever completely go away? No. Do we need it? Yes. And we can use it in two ways. We can use it to internalize our energy, to overcome, the blocks, the tensions inside ourselves. At the same time, we can use it in the world, but in a conscious, kind, and good way, instead of a way that just steps all over anybody that gets in your path.
Mm.
And then we're serving a higher energy, we're serving a higher force, we also bring about success in life and, the good things that the material world has to offer. But we're not, the greatest sense of superiority is really the deepest sense of humility. When you have real humility, there's something absolutely superior in your nature. And that comes about through the internalization of ego, will, overcoming resistance and blocks in oneself. We need the will, we need the ego to do that. At the same time, we don't want to spend our life just stepping all over anybody that gets in our way. We can become successful with an open heart.
That's the scary part. It always feels like without the ego, we are exposed to, I don't know, attack or being.
Well, look at the people. Just these people that are in politics, and they have such extraordinary images of themselves,
Yeah.
and who they are, that they would kick anybody in the teeth that tries to damage that image they have of themselves. Now, that's not a conscious use of ego. When you have great self-worth, you uplift the people around you. You raise them up. You love them. You listen to them. You have patience with them. You don't put them down. You don't get angry because they make mistakes. It's a whole different way of approaching life. And yet you look out at, people, that are big celebrities, and they just, what comes out of them is this sense of self-importance. And I've met a lot of these people, and many of them are just impossible to be around. And that same energy can be used to tap the deepest elements inside oneself. Exact same energy.
Yeah.
By learning to internalize it. And then what makes us successful, we can run a business, we have a family, we have, and is the fact that we can truly love unconditionally the people that make it possible for us to become successful, that support us. Then you'll break your ego down. Your self-importance comes because there's real humility. And you don't have to beat anybody else up in order to feel like you're more important than. I remember, I've talked about this, but it was such a great story. I remember when I first was a young man, I was about 18 years old, and I graduated from high school, and I needed to get a job. And I got a job in a mortgage company. And I would open letters and, do just clerical work. And the office manager, I'll never forget this guy. He was an education for me. He had this kind of thing about paper clips. And he would allot, 10 paper clips to each person working in the office every day. And if you ran out of paper clips, you understand, and you should have seen how he controlled the office. People would fight each other for paper clips. And he was the master, allotting your 10 paper clips. I couldn't believe it. I watched this go on. I said, this is unbelievable. And this guy became a paperclip Napoleon, the master of paper clips. And he used those paper clips as a way of controlling everybody in the office. Now that's ego. That's the dangerous use of ego. Forced me to quit. couldn't stand it anymore. I said, this is insane. That guy was an education for me, I'll tell you, you know. The first real, I mean, I had other jobs before, but like an office job, you know, with a possibility of building a career is how they hired me, you know, to discover that the guy was a lunatic. And he controlled everybody there, everybody, the secretaries, the this one, the that, by this paperclip insanity. I mean, that's a way to keep a business from never growing, you know, having to tell everybody how to function. The better way is you tap people's creative energy and you nurture that creative energy and you let them find a way of contributing to what is going on around you instead of the Napoleon of paper clips. More like a Hitler than a Napoleon, you know. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. We have a guy running for president who's the same way, you know. Say one word against him, you know, and you're doomed for the rest of your life. I mean, it's unbelievable, this guy. You know, he's so insecure. He has to control everybody. Like that Napoleon of paper clips. He was so insecure, that guy. He had to control everybody. That's a dangerous use of ego, a dangerous use of will, power. And that's how most of people function. They have a little bit of power and they use it that way to control instead of nurturing people and letting them find a really creative way of contributing something to the situation because they really feel welcome and nurtured and they're growing and they're, you know, they're given the freedom to truly find their creative self. That's a use of ego also, but it's a healthy use of it.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart, what would happen if you had gone out and spent $5 on 5 boxes of 100 paper clips each and handed them out to everyone in the office?
Well, you know, Shakur, I was making $4 an hour then. I didn't feel like going out and supplying. I mean, this company would take in, you know, $100,000 a day, and people paying mortgages. I think they can afford to have paper clips.
Thank you.
It was the guy. You know, it wasn't my job to supply this stupid firm with paper clips. It was you know. Anyway, what does it matter? It's finished. I learned a very important lesson there, and I'm in many ways thankful to that guy. You know, he taught me a very important lesson early on in my life, how to treat people. And then it took years for me to truly put that into action, you know, for it to become a living way for myself. When I used to watch people stealing paper clips from each other, and big fights would break out in the office, fist fights. It's incredible. Does anyone else have a question? Yes. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. And, you know, I mean, every time you see a paper clip, maybe it'll give you a good laugh. So God bless you all and thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow, the new meditation tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.